Let's talk about Speaker McCarthy for a minute, or Kevin McCarthy. I don't even like calling him Speaker. He's a coward. He doesn't deserve the title Speaker. He needs to be removed and replaced by someone with some nuts. Kevin McCarthy should have had Joe Biden in impeachment hearings a long time ago. There's plenty of evidence. There's texts, there's emails, phone calls, whistleblowers. Yep. Kevin McCarthy is a coward, incapable of doing his job. It's time to remove him. Anyway, have a great Monday evening.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Kevin McCarthy, okay, who is trying to show the base that he has some cojones, okay, that his cojones has descended out of his stomach finally, okay, by throwing out there that the GOP is considering bringing an impeachment inquiry against the Biden administration, okay, against Joe Biden, due to him selling out the American people overseas to form business entities, along with his son. Now, we have a ton of evidence that this is the case, okay? Next week, there's supposed to be testimony in Congress from Hunter Biden's ex-business partner, Devin Archer. We have testimony from Tony Bobolinsky. We have text messages, right? We have alleged phone calls. We got all types of stuff, okay? We got all types of evidence that suggests that this was, in fact, the case. I mean, we even have Joe Biden himself talking about how he would keep Ukraine from getting a loan from the United States if they did not fire a corrupt prosecutor who was going after Burisma, the company that Hunter Biden was put on the board of for no reason, right? So again, it's clear and obvious what's going on here, right? I mean, anybody with two eyes can see the corruption from the Biden administration, that Joe Biden was selling out America while vice president of the United States, okay, to enrich himself personally, and he should definitely be impeached, okay? So I want to go ahead and play a clip of Kevin McCarthy discussing why he is basically moving to bring an impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden. And I want to talk about the politics of all this, because the politics of this is more complex than surface level what they're talking about in the media. So without further ado, roll the clip.
That they bribed the Bidens, okay? This was given to the FBI. When Bill Barr finally found out about it, he sent it to his office in Philadelphia. They actually said that this was very credible. The FBI kept this from the IRS individuals for them ever to see it. So not only do they claim that they were bribed, we now find information that 16 out of 17 payments from Romania were provided to the Biden shell companies while he was vice president. When President Biden was running for office, he told the American public that he's never talked about business. He said his family has never received $1 from China, which we now proved is not true. We now have some of the most credible whistleblowers. These 10-year IRS agents who have come forward said that the Biden family has been treated differently, that what Weiss has told us is different than what Garland and Weiss has told the public. And you're sitting here today where now you have found millions of foreign money, just what the 1023 alleges they did to Biden's family. Now we found that it has funneled through shell companies. If you're sitting in our position today, we would know none of this if Republicans had not taken the majority. We've only followed where the information has taken us. But Hannity, this is rising to the level of impeachment inquiry, which provides Congress the strongest power to get the rest of the knowledge and information needed. Because this president has also used something we have not seen since Richard Nixon, used the weaponization of government to benefit his family and deny Congress the ability to have the oversight.
Yeah, so that is the argument from Kevin McCarthy. Okay, you guys heard it there first, right? And there's a couple plays here from the Republicans, okay? That's why I said there's a whole lot of politics involved in this. The first play is to outright try to impeach Joe Biden, okay, and to issue the impeachment inquiry, which would allow Republicans to dig deeper, okay, and to bring a whole lot more attention to the Biden crime family and the allegations against them. They also have another move in which they could expunge Trump's impeachments from the congressional records, basically make it so it never officially happened, okay? Those are the two plays here. And I want you guys to listen to Nancy Pelosi discuss with CNN the Republicans and these moves that they're making against their Lord and Savior, Sleepy Joe. Take a look.
In a private call, the now Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, told the former president that he supported the idea of expunging Trump's two impeachments, but apparently he didn't commit to bringing it to the floor for a vote. You oversaw both of those impeachment proceedings. What's your reaction to this notion?
Well, the president was impeached because we had no choice. He had undermined our national security, jeopardized our well-being of our country. I was very careful about bringing any impeachment forward. But when the president made that phone call in terms of Ukraine, there was no choice. We had no choice. He must be impeached. Kevin is, playing politics. It's not even clear if he constitutionally can expunge those things. If he wants to put his members on the spot, his members in difficult races on the spot, that's a decision he has to make. But this is not responsible. This is not about the flag still being there. This is about being afraid. As I've said before, Donald Trump is the puppeteer. And what does he do all the time but shine the light on the strings? These people look pathetic.
Yeah, so that's Nancy Pelosi's reaction, okay? And I just played that because I want you guys to understand how Democrats operate versus how Republicans operate, and how Democrats think that they have free reign to use whatever power in Congress that they believe they have, regardless of whether or not it is constitutionally outlined, right? Versus how Republicans operate, in which Republicans are timid about it, right? But we're going to talk a little bit more about that, okay, in a minute. I want to go ahead and play another clip here from CNN in their reaction to Kevin McCarthy basically threatening to open impeachment inquiries against Joe Biden because, of course, they're coming out here and they are basically saying that, hey, we don't know why he's doing this, okay? Is he trying to impeach Hunter Biden? Pretending that, again, there's no connection to Joe or a clear connection to Joe. There's no evidence there's a clear connection to Joe, even though, again, we have a mountain of evidence showing that, yes, Joe Biden is connected to this. Take a look.
There not being a smoking gun in any case, I've still not seen a smoking gun on this case. I think there are legitimate questions about where Hunter Biden was getting his money from. Clearly, he was only getting his money because his last name was Biden. But what's been missing is that definitive link
To the president.
to his father. And I think it's an interesting political question. You both are the political experts, but how does that play to open an impeachment inquiry and potentially impeach this guy at this point?
I'm not sure. I want to follow that same train of thought here. I'm not sure where Joe Biden falls in any of this. And I think most of America's like, what are we doing? Are you impeaching Hunter Biden? I mean, that appears to be decently asinine. And I believe you can't out of one side of your mouth, right, make an economic argument saying inflation is high. Unemployment or whatever other argument, because Bidenomics actually, I believe, is working in a certain aspect of life. But you can't make that same argument and then spend the majority of your time on an impeachment inquiry where an election is on the line. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's called Washington. But in terms of why now, what would that look like timing? I think it is. If you look at this through that political lens, it could be very clear why this is continually at top of mind, and why perhaps this impeachment inquiry could happen at this moment.
Well, I also think it goes back to the voters in terms of fatigue, right? And Chris Christie, in his interview with you, Poppy, really said he thinks he's the guy to actually get something done. But this is the question that people keep having time and time again in Washington. What are you actually doing to help us when it comes to prices, when it comes to the economy? Or is all of this a lot of political theater? It remains to be seen.
What theater are you going to watch? I mean, honestly. I mean, are you going to watch just you continue to dig into this rabbit hole after Hunter Biden? Or are you going to watch the trial in Miami, Florida, of the former president of the United States, or in Atlanta, Georgia, or in New York, or in Washington, D.C.?
We don't know about Atlanta yet.
Oh, Atlanta's coming.
Oh, just saying, we don't know.
Oh, Fannie.
It's pretty obvious.
First of all, Fannie's a bad woman, okay? I mean, she is an amazing prosecutor. All you have to do is ask Young Thug and many other rappers in the city of Atlanta right now. The RICO indictments are just building, as we know, down there. So I just think having that type of political theater, just on its face, far surpasses any impeachment inquiry just from the sexiness of it.
Thank you. Kelly, Peggy, Bakari. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, so of course you have the mainstream liberal media lying, straight up lying to the viewers, claiming, well, there's no smoking gun, right? WhatsApp messages are the smoking gun. Hunter Biden's laptop and all the things contained on that laptop, including emails, aren't a smoking gun. Whistleblower testimony isn't a smoking gun. I'm trying to figure out what exactly would it take for these people to say, hey, there's something wrong going on here, right? Joe Biden, it seems like, is clearly involved in this. Apparently, all these things, all this evidence is not a smoking gun according to these people, right? You're either ignorant, okay, or you're just purposely being deceitful. And that is, again, why Kevin McCarthy is doing this, in my opinion, because it's an uphill battle going into the election of 2024 in regards to painting the case against the Biden administration that they are corrupt and actually getting the mainstream liberal media to give a damn about it. And I think that is the play here from Kevin McCarthy, okay? What he's trying to do is basically make it impossible for the mainstream liberal media to not cover the corruption of the Biden administration, right? Because we know that just based off the numbers, he's not going to be able to successfully remove Joe Biden from office, right? That can only happen if, Republicans take back Congress in 2024. Okay, they take the House, they take the Senate. Okay, if Joe Biden's still in office, maybe they can do it, okay, in 2025, right, when the new congressional session starts, the same way that the Democrats basically moved to impeach Trump after the new congressional session started, right? That's the only way that they can actually remove Biden from office, right? There's basically no chance of them actually removing Biden from office, but that's not what this is about. What this is about is forcing the mainstream liberal media to cover this and to talk about it, okay? Because clearly the evidence is there, okay? I think he definitely should be impeached. I think he definitely should be removed from office. However, we know that politically it's not going to happen. I mean, even Republicans, moderate Republicans, are already pushing back against Kevin McCarthy and saying, we might not necessarily get on board with this impeachment inquiry, which means that it might not even make it out of the House, okay? Which would, again, that's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats don't give a damn about bringing forth petty impeachment inquiries against Trump. Even moderate Democrats don't give a damn about it. They're all going to get on board with it, right? And that's what they did twice to President Trump, right? They bought petty impeachment inquiries against Trump. And the whole reason for them doing it was not because they knew that they was actually going to remove Trump from office. I mean, look at what happened after January 6th. The dude was already out of office, right? And they decided to impeach him anyways. Okay, even though it's not constitutionally clear whether or not they can actually impeach a president when he's not in office, okay? But they did it anyways, right? The reason why they did it is purely because of public opinion. They wanted to sway public opinion. Democrats were calling to impeach Trump literally the first day the man got in office. I mean, the whole Russia collusion thing really is the Democrats' first attempt to delegitimize Trump as president of the United States. And they did not stop doing that literally from the first day that Trump got in office. Again, the difference between Democrats and Republicans is that Republicans struggle to rally around all Republicans around doing the same damn thing that Democrats did to them. Okay, because apparently you have so-called moderates, okay, who don't want to go that far, right? While, Republicans continue to get ramrodded, okay, by Democrats. But again, what this is about, okay, really is about forcing the mainstream liberal media to cover it. Because if Kevin McCarthy can do his job as Speaker, if he can actually rally moderate Republicans around impeaching Joe, and if it gets through the House, then it goes to the Senate where there's a trial. And that's honestly the actual goal, right? Is to get it to trial. Because if it goes to trial, then the mainstream liberal media has to cover it, okay? It has to be on every single national television show, right? They're going to have to talk about it, okay? And again, that's the whole point. The liberal media refuses to talk about this, okay? They don't want to cover any of the hearings that are currently going on right now, right? They're only covering anything that has to do with going after Trump, even though Trump's not in office, right? But we have the president of the United States who's sitting in office, okay? His son is selling influence, okay? We have evidence that Joe Biden's involved, and they say, oh, well, there's no smoking gun. No need to cover it. MSNBC, okay, CNN, they don't want to talk about it. However, if it goes to Senate trial, they will have to cover it because you're talking about potentially removing a sitting president from office, right? So they can't not cover it, which is the goal. The goal is to try to get people who usually would ignore this, who wouldn't be exposed to any of this, who wouldn't know about any of this stuff. The goal is to get them to be informed about this before the 2024 election. That's what Kevin McCarthy is actually trying to do, right? That's the play here. That's the politics that's going on here. It's the same thing the Democrats did, right? Why did they impeach Trump? They know they weren't actually going to get the guy removed from office. They only impeached him because it was designed to sway public opinion, right? It was designed to build a case up against Trump that he's corrupt and yada, yada, yada. He should be removed from office, while at the same time crying about, oh, Trump economy sucks and blah, 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 all this other stuff that's going on, right? Which, by the way, CNN gives Democrats a pass on that, right? CNN never complained about Democrats moving to impeach Trump while complaining about the Trump economy, right? Even though the Trump economy was great, right? But again, they want to complain about Republicans moving to impeach Biden while complaining about Biden's economy, right? Ain't it amazing how that works? Okay, Republicans never get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to doing their own investigations and their own witch hunts. But, Democrat witch hunts, all of those are legitimate, right? There's not one Democrat witch hunt that's not legitimate, even though we've seen Democrat witch hunt after Democrat witch hunt just be completely illegitimate. But again, the timing of this is so important because if Trump is the nominee, okay, the GOP nominee, going into the 2024 election, with all these indictments coming against him, right, that are politically motivated, again, he's going to be on trial a lot, potentially next year, okay? I think he already has one trial set up basically right before the election, and it's going to be important for Republicans to have their own version of that against Joe Biden, okay, to basically even out the playing field, right? And that's the move that's going on here, okay? Republicans can help clear Trump's name to a certain extent by trying to expunge his 2 impeachments from the record, right? I think at the very least they should try to do that. I mean, that's bare minimum what Republicans should try to do. But again, the goal here with impeachment really is to get it to trial, right? And with the text messages, with the bombshell testimony from the whistleblowers, I think they have a very strong case, and I think that they convince a whole lot of people that this guy, Joe Biden, is a criminal, right? That he sold out the American people, and that he's actively weaponizing the federal government against his political opponents, which will delegitimize a lot of the stuff being thrown at Trump, right? Particularly the charges from the DOJ that have been brought up against Trump, right? Brought against Trump when it comes to the classified document case, which, hey, they haven't, did anything to Biden yet, right? Again, this whole thing really is about swaying public perception right before the election, which, again, that's what the Democrats and their witch hunt is about as well, too, right? So that's what's happening here, in my opinion. Okay, obviously, this is politics. You guys who pay attention to my channel, who watch my stuff, that watch conservative media, we all know Biden's a criminal who should be removed from office, but there's a lot of independents and Democrats who don't necessarily know this stuff. And again, it's because mainstream liberal media just refuses to cover it. This forces the mainstream liberal media to cover something they don't want to cover and to actually have real conversations about it. And they just can't sit up here and lie, okay, and say, oh, well, there's no smoking gun. When, again, look at all the mountains of evidence that we have, okay? And that stuff will be shown to the world in a Senate trial that cannot be ignored, right? It cannot be ignored, okay? So I think that's the play here, right? I think that's what Kevin McCarthy is aiming for. Will it work? We'll see, right? But that's what's happening here. And I think that they are building a case to move forward with the impeachment inquiry of Biden. They just need to get the moderate Republicans on board with it, which, again, it's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats never have issues getting moderate Democrats on board with, politically motivated witch hunts. Republicans, on the other hand, they want to, take the high road when in 2023, again, that's not how politics works anymore, right? You don't win anything by taking a high road, okay? Republicans have been taking a high road against Democrats for a long, long, long time, and what has it resulted in? Okay, we couldn't even really win the midterms, right? We didn't perform as well in the midterms as we should have performed. Again, we're at the point now where we got to fight fire with fire. Democrats did it to Trump. Clearly it worked, right? That's why Trump was removed from office despite having a great economy at the very least for the first 3 years before COVID. Again, they successfully convinced the people that, hey, Trump is all the reason why we have all the problems we have in our country, right? And I think that it was successful. So Republicans got to do the same thing. You don't win by, again, acting like you're above the fray. You win by going lower than your opponent goes, right? Democrats have figured this out a long time ago, right? And it's time for Republicans to play the same game, right? Because Democrats started it, right? Give the Democrats a taste of their own medicine, okay? And maybe, just maybe, they'll stop with, the witch hunts and the nonsense. But until then, Republicans will just continue to get ramrodded, and they'll continue to lose because, again, they want to be above the fray. And that's just not how politics works. Politics is a blood sport, right? You got to go for it all. You got to go for the home run or you're going to lose. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.